Welcome to 1850 Main Street, a place where friends get together and talk about their country and hope for a brighter future. Your hosts have built this spot over the past 40 years, meeting every day with people who are in the headlines and behind the real stories. Today, Rob Walgate and Alan C. Duncan from the Public Square are joined by David Zanotti, the CEO of the American Policy Roundtable.
So why is the major corporate media not challenging the process behind Kamala Harris becoming the Democratic Party's nominee?
So I asked a really stupid question in our last opportunity sitting down together, and that's why isn't the major corporate media, the big media, the 6 to 9 corporations that run, well, that sounds like a conspiracy. No, it's the Harvard study, okay? So unless you want to call Harvard a conspirator, now a co-conspirator, you take a look and you ask yourself, why aren't they challenging the process? Why is there not a news conference in which they ask Kamala Harris, don't you feel the least bit odd that you are the nominee for president of the United States and no one in your party voted for you?
Well, two things. First, at the time of this recording, she has not sat down with a major news outlet and had a conversation or held a press conference to take those questions. That's number one.
Do you think she'll dare do it before their convention because she doesn't want to face that question?
I'm not sure. I think they're going to have the answer for it at that convention. I think they'll hit on it and highlight.
Let's just say my convention
try and
nominated.
Massage it.
Yeah.
Two, do you think the same mainstream media would have the same reaction had the Republicans done this process?
That's such a dumb question. You know that's such a dumb question. There can never be any question of moral or ethical comparison between the two parties because the Democrats are always the party of virtue and the Republicans are always the villains. I mean, don't you watch the World Wrestling Federation? Come on. The Republicans are the heels and the Democrats are the heroes.
I have to admit, my brother and his family.
And I'm not a Republican.
My brother and his family do watch the World Wrestling Federation. I watched a match the other night from SummerSlam on television.
And I realize it's WWE now. I go back to the old one. So
they got a lot of money to be WWE, right?
Yeah. So you watched the match.
I watched the match.
You actually went to the arena?
No. It was at Cleveland Browns Stadium. They broke the record in Cleveland, Ohio for the largest attendance SummerSlam.
Wait a minute, WWE got more than the Browns? Is that what it is? Okay.
Well, for SummerSlam, I think they got like 56,000 or something. But I will say this. My brother did say about the crowd. He did say, he's like, it's amazing. All the sporting events he's been to in his life, everything. Him and his family went to SummerSlam. And he is like, the people were so polite and kind and helpful to everyone. He's like, it's unlike any event you ever go to in the sporting realm. He's like, it really was like being an event. He's like, they get crazy and cheer for the matches, but the people next to you, it doesn't matter who they're cheering against, the guys that are, the gals that are in the ring, but they're kind to one another. He's like, it was unlike anything I've ever been a part of. He said, I've never felt in, they walked the city streets. Their hotel was downtown. Everything they did, he said, I've never felt like I've been in a safer environment than a WWE fan base. So whatever that means.
I've never heard that story before.
I mean, that's amazing. Well, I'm just wondering, is part of that because you kind of deep down know that it's a bit of a show? Like,
Let me tell you something. It is in the fight I watched it is obviously staged, dare I say, but the athletic ability of these people and the risk they take with their body. One of the Paul brothers fought, I think it may have been Logan Paul, did a backflip off the top ropes onto the ground to hit somebody. How he didn't blow out his ACL, I'm like, this is insane.
The older you get, the more terrifying.
Crazy.
Look, it is all scripted. We know all that, but the fact of the matter is they still have to execute the script, and boy, are those people... Yeah, this is like Cirque du Soleil, but like you really hit people. Okay, I mean and you really fall there, and there's no net.
How did we get on WWE?
I don't know. So let's go back to we talk about the question of moral equivalency or ethical equivalency. You can't pull that card because what you've got is a world in which. And it's like, well, the media is biased. Well, the media is so far past bias. Please, this is not, the media isn't even the media. The media, the large media news organizations are subsidiaries of major corporations who are driving the news based on ideology. They don't even care about whether they make or lose money because they've got so much money at the top. Comcast, NBC, Universal could care less about if NBC tanks economically because It's a rounding error for them. It's about what they believe in their philosophy. Associated Press is so beholden. You look at the Associated Press website and you study it over the years, how it's changed. It used to be a service, a nonprofit service, so that information could get out to small towns, and they were in the who, what, where, why business to make sure that little media has the same access as big media. Now you look at all their articles, and in every situation they have to disclose the fact that this foundation is funding this field of study. But we're not saying what the foundation wants us to say. We just want their money. And of course, we don't want to lose their money. But you notice how as they've gotten more and more and more foundational support, they've gone radically farther left and left and left and left. And the reporting is left and left and left and left and left. Just a coincidence.
Well, and then that trickles to the citizens because people who maybe aren't watching super closely think that's a trusted news source. You know, I think
it
a lot
had been for a generation.
Right. So I think some people coming out of COVID, maybe coming out of some of these other world events, are recognizing some of the blinders are falling off. But why can't you read the AP? Why can't you read the Times? Why can't you read the Wall Street Journal? These are things that, I'm not saying you shouldn't read them, but these are things that you trusted for decades.
Well, and you figure they can't all be wrong, right?
You would think, but then you start to see that they're all pushing the same exact talking points.
And the agenda right now is inevitability. This is when I start to flip out in American politics, when all of a sudden all the media, social media, you've got Silicon Valley, you've got Hollywood, you've got all the big companies, all the big press. Everything's inevitable. We're in the process of the coronation of Kamala Harris.
It's like a script. Speaking of scripts, it's like a script goes out, and you've seen some people they'll tweet, and it's almost the exact same words.
Oh yeah, I love when they do that.
They put them side by side.
Well, calling JD Vance weird.
Yes, it's like, okay, we're gonna say weird. That's what he is.
Thanks for stopping by at 1850 Main Street. We're glad you're here. Do you want to learn more about what is really going on behind the scenes in public policy? Tune in to The Public Square on over 200 radio stations coast to coast. Or download the free Public Square mobile app from your app store. Just look for The Lamppost. Find out what America is really talking about at thepublicsquare.com.
So the inevitability, it's all inevitable. So if the media is in the business of propagating an agenda scripted for inevitability for a specific candidate, first off, it's a free country, somewhat still. They have the right to do that. They have the right to do it. They don't owe us to be objective.
They owe it to us to be honest. I think as the media, they owe it to us to be honest. And when you
I don't see that in a rule book anywhere.
When you look at the AP headlines from a few years ago that talked about Kamala Harris being the first Indian American senator elected, and then, they talked about that. But then when Trump talked about, is she Indian, and talking about heritage, is she black, all that stuff, then they went after him like, why would you bring that up? And he's like, well, you brought it up. And again, that's not to defend Donald Trump. It's just to say, be honest about the rules you're going to play by.
Well, but my point is they can lie all they want.
Oh, yeah.
They're allowed.
They do.
And I don't want truth censoring the media.
Well,
but what I want to know is, are they ever going to stop claiming to be objective when they're clearly not even remotely objective and just basically doing everything that they can in regards to an editorial? Just say, we want Kamala, and this is what we think about blankety blank blank Donald Trump. And of course, wait a minute. I don't have to say that because it's so blatantly obvious. Okay, well then stop calling yourself a credible media source and call yourself campaign allies to whatever candidate you're going to pick. And the same thing for the right.
Well, there's almost a sense, though, if you go, for example, to the Daily Wire, you're getting a right-wing look at the news.
Yeah.
I think everybody sees that and knows that.
Sure.
So there is a bit more transparency with that.
Yep. Yes, I agree. But when we're talking about an issue like this one, a process issue, a process in a legal issue, the legitimacy of an election, and no one even writes a word to call into question how we got to this place where we are. And everyone has jumped not just past the process and onto the inevitability of our presidency. Everyone forgot that Joe Biden's still in the White House. He's still got the keys to the code. He's still got the button in the football. And at this stage in the game, no one's seen him. No one's heard from him. Nobody knows what his stats. What? And the vice president of the United States has an obligation in regards to the presidency. Why is no one asking Kamala Harris, what about the 25th Amendment? Don't you feel obligated?
Well, that's the conspiracy theory, and the rumor is that they told him they were going to use the 25th Amendment unless he got out of his way on his own.
And then he gets to walk off as the hero.
Do you think that there'll ever be a time when we actually know what happened?
Maybe 30 years from now.
Yeah. It'll be a while.
Maybe a little further, of course.
It'll be a while. So no wonder people are absolutely in frustration, and they really truly are, because they're watching all of this. And look, I'm reading across a bunch of these media sources, 6, 8, 10 of them a day. I can't believe the bandwagon thing that's going on.
Well, the other thing, I don't know if the Democrats would have accepted Kamala being the nominee the way she has become the nominee, except for the fact I think they are united against Donald Trump. So had it been another candidate to where they weren't sure that they could unite anyone against that one candidate, but I think
he's so polarizing for half the nation.
I read an article today that says the biggest thing that's happening for Kamala Harris right now are Zoom meetings. They're getting they had 6,000 people.
And they're all segregated. Yeah. They've got whites for Kamala and blacks for Kamala. And
but
it's insane.
They're knocking it out of the park with these Zoom meetings.
So we're allowed to segregate as long as it's for political purposes for the black presidential. This is insanity. Okay. I mean, white moms
keep asking for consistency. The only thing that's consistent is the end result. It's called pragmatism. You can change anything you want to get the results you want. And look, I mean, part of this whole thing is about if you're going to do anything with the cool kids, you better be on the side of what the media tells you, or then you're not a cool kid anymore.
But how do you tell a 10-year-old it's okay to have this meeting with just this group of people? Because what's the justification? I can't figure it out.
That gets back to my concern with this is when everybody is marching lockstep, all the quote unquote respected establishments are marching lockstep, then everyday citizens feel awkward at dinner parties to say what they really think. They feel uncomfortable to say, hey, wasn't that weird? They don't want to be labeled a conspiracy theorist. They don't want to be labeled an ist.
We feel like we're out of ammo. We have no ability to say what we think, feel, or fear because all the fact checkers are lined up over here with the cool kids.
And that's why we have to push through that feeling, I think, though. We have to push through it and say,
you're braver than me.
I didn't say I'm there yet, but I'm trying to be. We need to be able to say, I actually think this is what I really feel about this.
Well, I went to a friend's house recently, and I would say this is someone I went to see their child who was graduating from college, wish them well as they go on their adventures in the adult world. And they're moving out of country. And I would say this home I was in would not vote, dear friends, would not vote like-minded to me. And this person, the mom, asked me if I knew a certain statewide candidate in the state in which we live. And I said, I do. And she said, I had an interaction with him where I work. He was there to talk about stuff. She's like, he's not the boogeyman every commercial makes him out to be. He was a really nice guy. And I kind of smiled and laughed. I said, yeah. I said, both sides have those type of people where if you're in a room with them, you're probably going to get along with them. But every commercial and every story she's ever heard about this person was that they were evil. And she was like, he was kind of fine.
All right, here's my dumbest idea of the year so far. I'm watching, I forget what I was watching on television the other night, and we are getting slammed back and forth with these kinds of ridiculous negative commercials. And I'm watching these commercials, happen to be the same race, and I happen to know a good deal about both people on both sides of this thing, and I'm laughing out loud thinking, this is funny, because I kind of know a lot about these people, and I know that this is all nonsense. It's absolute. The candidates never are held accountable somehow for these, because the way that they're not held accountable is that independent PACs do all this stuff. And so they never have to say, yeah, we had a beer and we were talking about the other day and we were both laughing. No, none of that's ever going to happen. There's no humanity in it at all. It's just barnyard excrement, all right, is what it comes down to. All right, and I'm watching, but I thought to myself, wouldn't it be cool if there was some way for all the people watching this streaming audio service to basically say, here's an idea. Let's all cancel our subscription every single year. The first negative ad that comes on, and then we can pick it back up again like in December, all right, when it's all gone, and just basically let these networks know that you will be well, it will all go monthly, and you're going to lose 25% of your revenue every year that there's a major election from your subscribers, because we don't care who it is. We don't care what race it is. We are sick unto death of this. And then someone said, well, moron, just buy the commercial-free version, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay? Well, so that's why we're trying. So is it that the other motive of all of the streamers is to basically say, well, I'll show you what we'll do. We'll so fill this stuff with nonsense that you'll have to give us more money.
You'll annoy you into buying more.
We'll annoy you into commercial-free subscription.
The conversations are just getting started. To get connected, check out 1850mainstreet.com. We don't data mine anyone or sell your information. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single conversation. We'll see you next time here at 1850 Main Street.